Time to react to more music from Blue Archive. I'm Corey, or everything fantasy and a music composed for video games. I have my keyboard in front of me. Let's get into reacting to The Dragon Express. I'm expecting something fast-paced, very upbeat, that kind of thing. Probably gonna get some keys, some pluck synth sounds. Let's get into this. Okay, well now I know where the word dragon is in this. Okay, so we're in the key of F minor, which is partly why that key made it easier to figure out the particular notes for that. I think the instrument I hear is this. The guzheng, Chinese instrument. I think that's what I'm hearing. Okay. I think it was that. I'm getting battle for a start. I'm getting quite fast-paced, chaotic battle. I'm curious of why it's called the Dragon Express. What I'm trying to do mentally in my mind. So I've heard a few different pieces from Blue Archive. I played a bit of Blue Archive. I need to play more. On everythingfantasy.net, where you can suggest things, please somebody type in all caps play Blue Archive, because when they did it for Arknights, I actually then played Arknights, because I'm gonna look at your comments like in a week's time or something where I might just be in the mood to play a game. So definitely remind me to play Blue Archive. But from the pieces I've heard so far, like in-game, I mean, like Romantic Smile and Constant Moderato and pieces like that, I almost wonder how much of the name of the track is descriptive to what you're seeing in-game. Like, I imagine there's surely some kind of dragon here, or something Chinese inspired, perhaps. I'd love to know what we're seeing here. Because I'm imagining kind of like a fiery sort of battle, if anything. So changed chord sequence. We were mainly hovering over the F minor. That kind of thing. Then we move to, and I think we're then going to come back to the F. In terms of other elements, we have a lot of pluck synths that almost seem like they're imitating the Chinese instrument a little bit, but at the same time sounding quite different. We have the pumping bass drum constantly throughout this, as well as other synth elements too, like the synth bass too, which sounds a little bit like this in terms of the drums. Just kind of that idea over and over again throughout. And that's the thing that helps this to feel like a battle. Like if we kind of removed all of that, I think this wouldn't sound like a battle anymore. That's the thing that kind of helps it feel like we're moving. And from experiencing gameplay from Blue Archive myself, there's obviously literally a constant feeling of movement. The characters are literally moving constantly. I love the really buzzy, bright kind of sounding synth sounds. We have an electric guitar. That's switching between playing rhythmic sounds, which help to kind of mimic what the bass drum is doing and kind of get that kind of moving feeling again. And also riffing a little bit and playing some kind of intricate riffs occasionally too. That was a really interesting section, quite unexpected. The entire rhythm of the piece changed quite a lot there. It was kind of like I feel like I need to load up two instruments at the same time to do this justice, but it was kind of something like. Some of that sort of idea. In the time signature of I'm counting 6/8. Dun, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That kind of thing. It makes it feel like there's kind of almost like a second phase to what I'm encountering. But now it feels like we're going into the kind of climactic finale section. This is cool. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Oh, that was a really cool piece of music. I think the key thing that stands out to me is the simplicity of it, like straightforward rhythms and ideas that constantly evolve and change slightly. It almost feels like this is intended to be very kind of backgroundy in nature. I get the feeling that some pieces are supposed to be a bit more upfront and in your face, like High Velocity and OTK Marching, for example, that I've already reacted to. But this feels very kind of like subdued in a sense, but also quite like you can just tune out to it and just listen. I can imagine like if training to this kind of music, for example. But I'd love to know a bit more context, as always, and more recommendations. As always, you can suggest things on everythingfantasy.net, and you can say some things about it too. One thing I am going to check is if the person that submitted this said anything about it. So they have said, composed by Carrot, you will come across this OST during some point of your main story playthrough. It's sort of the theme of a Chinese-inspired school. The reason I want to request it is because, well, it does sound Chinese music-inspired. Probably because it's mostly in a pentatonic scale in minor. But correct me if I'm wrong. Nope. Pentatonic meaning a 5-note scale. No, I would agree with that. Like, literally all notes of the pentatonic scale in F. Instead of giving a calm, regal, and melancholic feeling, it hypes you up, which I find really interesting. You know, that's a really interesting point, actually, is when we often think of pieces that may use Chinese-inspired sounds or ideas or even instruments themselves, like in this one. There are two kind of observations I'd make on that. The first is very much that, this idea that the blend of the fast-paced, hyper-electronic elements, but not too crazy or in your face. But at the same time, that kind of like subdued feeling that can kind of like gradually hype you up. That's why I mentioned like being able to train to this, for example. But also the second element of the Chinese instruments that were used in this were replaced with synth sounds that sounded kind of similar to those sounds, which I find is an interesting compositional choice. This is why I love it when people type things in and like talk about the piece of music they suggest, because it allows me to be able to explain and react to it in real time. As always, please suggest more to react to from Blue Archive or any series, and hopefully I get to it at some point. There's a lot of suggestions, but I try and kind of like do a bit of a broad sweep of different games and things like that. Until next time, thanks for watching and take care.